To put this issue in context, may I remind all of us that we live in a fallen world, and for now, we are a fallen people. We are in the telestial kingdom. That's spelled with a T, not a C yet. As President Russell M. Nelson has taught, here in mortality, perfection is still pending.
Christ will reign personally upon the earth. And that the earth, this earth that we're on right now, will someday be renewed and receive its paradisiacal glory. It's interesting that the creation, fall, atonement story arc of life that we've talked about before, there's the stages of faith, there's the plan of salvation. Well, that's the destiny of the earth. At creation, the earth was more Garden of Eden kind of terrestrial state, but then it fell as Adam and Eve fell, jumped. And there's telestial existence that we've been in ever since. But what will happen at the millennium when Christ comes to reign personally upon the earth? Then it bumps back up to a millennial terrestrial state. We're kind of back on the elevation of Eden, so to speak. But it doesn't even stop there, because this earth then, at the end of the millennium, to receive its paradisiacal glory, that's when it becomes the celestial kingdom. The earth goes from terrestrial down to telestial, up to terrestrial in the millennium, and then beyond to the celestial when all is said and done. In some ways, our goal is just to stay here, to live beyond a telestial life, to be able to dwell in a terrestrial millennium and a celestial sphere, complete with the presence of God.
Go through the temple to have a quiet spirit and contemplative time before going through their ordinance sessions.
An ordinance is a sacred religious ceremony. This is one of the instruction rooms of the temple. Here we begin the endowment. The word endowment represents a gift of light and of power to those who come here and receive this sacred instruction and honor their commitments.
In this instruction room, we learn about the plan of happiness, and we learn about God's purpose for us here in mortality. We're also able to make special covenants with the Lord about our journey throughout life.
A covenant is a pledge, a promise, and a commitment to God. And here, as a part of the endowment, we pledge that we will obey God's commandments, that we will be selfless, that we will live clean, pure, and chaste lives, and that we will develop and dedicate ourselves to God's holy purposes.
We have just come from the first instruction room, where the walls were painted in beautiful murals of the world we now live in. We have progressed into this instruction room now that is lighter, brighter, and gives us a sense of our progression through life.
That progression is made possible because of honoring the covenants that we entered into in the previous instruction room. You'll notice that there's also an altar in this room. These altars are an essential element of the process of entering into covenants with God. Now we'll move into the celestial room, representing the ultimate destination of our eternal journey, back to the presence of our Father in heaven. The celestial room of the temple is a representation of our heavenly home, the ultimate destination of our mortal journey. The celestial room is also a place of personal, private prayer, reflection, and meditation.